Good evening, everyone. I am Bettina Escauriza, the community news producer here at PhillyCAM. Thank you for tuning in to PhillyCAM Voices. Tonight, our show is dedicated to celebrating the reporting we did in 2023. Our reporters come to us from diverse backgrounds and with many different interests, but are connected by a desire to tell stories through the medium of journalism. Grassroots community reporting remains the backbone of all journalism, and it is more important than ever to continue the work of creating spaces where communities can tell their own stories. Tonight, we will look back at a series of clips that cover a broad range of issues affecting Philadelphians. I hope you enjoy our look back at 2023.
There's an old wise expression that says, the more things change, the more things stay the same. When it comes to gentrification, this is especially true.
You know how there's the arenas in South Philly, right? So the owners of the 76ers, the basketball team, are proposing to move the arena to the fashion district. And so they will be on the same block as Chinese-owned businesses. And they decided this without consulting anyone in the community. And they just announced it July of last year. Our biggest point is the fact that Mark Spola runs this district. You know, Mark Spola is our council member. He can pretty much stop this.
Chinatown has this long history of being encroached on and fighting back. So in the 70s, they built the Vine Street Expressway, and Chinatown fought that. We've since fought off a federal prison, baseball stadium, 2 casinos, and now this. And so I think, you know, it's important for people to know that Chinatown is like, it started because of violence against Asians and Asians needing to secure a community for themselves where they felt like safe and they could speak their own language and eat their own foods without being attacked. And that's Chinatown's been in existence for 150 years. And in many ways, it still serves as this heart and soul and spiritual center for Asians all around the area, not just those who live and work in Chinatown. You know, fighting for this community has also made it very clear that our fights are not separate or unattached to other fights affecting communities around the city. We see things like what's going on in the UC townhomes, and I used to teach in University City High School, so I know that the city, that Black Bottom was decimated. I know that high school was built as part of community agreement benefits with the universities.
Right now we are at the Philadelphia Club of Jazz and Performing Arts. The Philadelphia Club was established as the social arm of the Black Musician Union 274. 274 was the Black Musician Union, and they had unions all over the country, but only a few had a social arm, and the social arm became a separate asset. And when 274 was absorbed by the National Union, the Club was still standing, and it stands today. My name is Lovett Hines, and I'm an artistic director of the Philadelphia Club of Jazz and Performing Arts. Some of the really, really famous musicians that came out of Union 74 was part of Union 274, of course, was Nina Simone, John Coltrane, Frankie Fairfax, Trudy Pitts, Mr. C. So those were some of the few really luminaries that came out of 274.
Rebecca Fabiano. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director and founder of Fab Youth Philly. And yes, the organization is partially named after my last name, but really it's more about wanting to lift up the fabulousness of adolescence and recognizing how fabulous young people are here in Philadelphia. So Fab Youth Philly is a small organization. We're a youth-serving organization, but our work really focuses on providing workforce development opportunities for young people ages 15 to 19. Our signature program and how we started the organization really is our Play Captain initiative. So the Play Streets are designed to be a summer meal program. A resident is trained to give out meals, and then those streets get closed off from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to make it safe for children to come and go and get the meals, and also to make them playful. But most Play Streets, truthfully, are not that playful. There are some rock star street supervisors, these residents, generally older women who care deeply about their neighborhood, but not all of the 500 Play Streets are as playful as they could be. And I'm a little bit of an opportunist, and so I know that young people need a quality summer job, so I thought vacant Play Streets, teens who need jobs, teens in their own neighborhoods who could be used as, viewed as assets and not as nuisances. Let's train these young people as Play Captains, which is a play on the word block captain and junior block captain here in Philly. And let's activate those Play Streets by hiring young people from their own neighborhoods to make those streets more playful. The Play Captains is year-round. They activate the playgrounds in the in-between seasons and also during the summer. Our little libraries is from September to June. We started a youth advisory board because it's really important to me as an organization that we are building meaningful opportunities for youth voice. They're paid to be on the advisory board, and they're also paid to learn how to make decisions. And in the fall, they're actually going to get media training so that they can speak directly to the press, so that we are always making sure that we're not co-opting young people's stories and that they can tell their own stories. And thinking about everything we do as an opportunity for a young person to build work history and strengthen their resume and to build out some of the skills that they have that they might have gotten with us in a different job or they got somewhere else, but that they can continue to build as they continue in their career path.
Now Swim Club is recognized as the nation's first Black-owned swim club, and it sits here just outside of Philadelphia. Today, we're here to learn more about how the Nile is still stepping up to serve the community. We're speaking with Vice President Lisa Ivory and coordinator of Jesse's Garden, Jessica Pointer.
I think it's the perfect pairing for us to be able to be the place that provides free swim lessons to anyone that wants them. And that's what No Child Will Drown in our town is. Look at the statistics. So the statistics are that 64% of African-American children between the ages of 4 and 18 have no or limited swim ability or experience. Then if you look at USA Swimming, they have about 400,000 swimmers registered, and 1% of those swimmers are African American. So what this says to us and to our community is that we're taking the lead in closing that gap from children that have limited to no swimming ability. I guess if you think about when the club was created back 1957, 58, of course, a few of those founding members were denied access to local swim clubs. They came together and created their own swim club, put their houses up in order to be able to afford the land and build a swim club. So you can only imagine the type of courage and determination, and positive energy that had to be flowing at that time in order for them to just say, that's okay, we'll build our own. And I think for us, at a time when we created No Child Will Drown, it's a similar situation, not being denied access, but almost losing our property and almost losing our club, and trying to figure out what could we do to bring more excitement and interest back to the club.
Philly's tourism scene mainly centers the downtown area, often highlighting history in Old City or encouraging visitors to visit Philadelphia's Museum District at the end of the Parkway. But this tour guide aims to take tourist dollars from Center City, Philadelphia, and bring them to the hood. North Philly, born and bred founder and tour guide Chrissy Watts founded Philly Experiences to help tourists better understand why the hood is at the heart of this city. Watts provides a wide variety of experiences for tourists and even Philly natives and residents, including the Black Be Beautiful Experience, Moral and Murals Hood Tour, the Uptown Soul Food Crawl, party bus experiences, and even a wellness experience where Watts leads guests through a meditation session with Afro beats. On Monday, April 4th, Watts posted on the Philly Experience's Instagram page that a lack of hugs during her childhood led her to constantly contemplate suicide throughout a large duration of her life. In that same post, she announced she would begin providing a new experience inspired by her life circumstances in hopes to spread the love. Watts now offers free hugs to anyone who wanted them in Vernon Park, where she does her meditation and wellness experience. I stopped by Vernon Park on Friday, April 14th to grab a hug and to ask Watts some questions about the new love-filled experience. Check it out.
So right now, it's actually pre-pandemic. I had this idea, I saw it on IG of some guy holding up a sign, I think, that says free hugs. I don't know if it was Philly, it doesn't matter. And I was like, that's so dope. And I would never do it, but I would want to do it, if that makes sense. And then, just with all the murders that are happening in the city and just the despair and just what I hear when I'm traveling and walking and I'm on SEPTA, I can hear the frustration. I can hear people's pain and I feel it and I just don't know what to do about it. So I just said, let's see what happens if I put a post up saying I'll give out hugs. What's the response? I've always been the awkward one. So let's just keep going. Just why not? And it's working.
Canada wildfires cast gloom over Philadelphia streets, confusing residents and interrupting the season's festivities. We sat down with Jerome Shabazz, Executive Director of the Overbrook Environmental Education Center in West Philadelphia, to talk more about the city's air quality emergency.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Angelica. As you indicated, I'm Jerome Shabazz. I'm the Executive Director of the Overbrook Environmental Education Center. And we're really pleased to have this conversation with you today. You know, what we experienced over the last week is an amazing phenomenon. Unfortunately, it's not something that's new. It's just something that we're more aware of because of technology and our ability to have communications about issues that are taking place all over the world. But what was happening essentially is something that, if you look at the data, happens quite often in Canada, where forest fires are not unusual, but because of climate changes, the conditions of those fires are changing. But you know, the interesting thing is that what happened in that particular instance is really indicative of what's happening all the time. So we get a storm, that storm isn't happening here, it may be coming off of the Atlantic and it's migrating here. And it just shows you the power of how we're interconnected as a world and as a community. You know, if that would have happened 30 years ago, someone would have went outside and their eyes would have been burning and they may have asked a friend of theirs, did you see or smell or hear that thing that I smelt or heard or felt? And if they said yes, then you just confirmed with each other that we just got bad air and we're just going to keep on moving on. Or we might just decide that, okay, that person didn't experience it, but I did. It wasn't as actual because we didn't have that type of technology that allows us in real time to see what was taking place. And so in real time, we saw an incident that took place in Canada that was ultimately affecting us here in the United States. And because of our ability through technology to monitor environmental conditions, we were able to see that thing coming. A lot of these concerns, a lot of these conditions have been taking place all along. We just haven't been paying attention to it, or it hasn't affected us in a dramatic way. But we do have real challenges with air quality in Philadelphia, and we also have challenges in our region with air quality in Pennsylvania. But one thing that we do know, and is an absolute fact, is that through environmental injustice, Black and brown communities are affected the most. We know that our air quality is most impacted, the stressors on our water, the stressors on our land and the quality of our land through disinvestment in communities and through policies and through just a lack of literacy around these concerns make our communities a bit more vulnerable, right? And so if our intentions is to do the best that we can to keep ourselves healthy, vibrant, and productive, then we have to arrange priorities so that we can do those things.
I recently sat down with Marissa Emerson, a young professional actor, to find out how she's been able to find steady paid work since graduating from college in 2022. She is currently working as a barter player with Barter Theater in Abingdon, Virginia. Full disclosure, Marissa is my daughter.
I became an actor because well, I mean, why does anyone choose the job they choose? Except I'll tell you, it's not for the money. Honestly, acting scares me. And just as a person, I don't like backing down from things just because I'm afraid. I don't want to run away from being afraid. So I just kept doing it. How did I become an actor? I became an actor professionally. Well, I graduated high school. I did a gap year or bridge year program called Global Citizen Year, and our college admissions counselor that helped us reapply to schools and things gave me really fantastic advice. And she said, don't think about it as what you want to do for the rest of your life. Think about it as 4 years of you learning. What do you want to learn about for 4 years? And I wanted to learn more about theater. And so I applied to schools as a director, went to Temple University, and wound up realizing that I would regret not at least trying this acting thing in a realm that isn't like high school theater. And so I did shows all throughout undergrad, and then by the time I graduated, I had 2 professional contract offers, and here we are. Something else I really enjoy about acting is the different skills I get to learn because of the characters I play. Right now, I'm preparing to play Friar Tuck in Robin Hood, and I get to learn how to use a staff. I get to do fight choreography. There's singing, so I get to learn new music that was written by one of my castmates. It's just the learning that goes into it, and I really enjoy learning new things. Being an actor lets me be a professional learner, which is sick. Advice I would give to other young actors is diversify your skill set. Take classes and things. Gain as many skills as you can. Apply them where you can. At times when I didn't have acting work, I was able to work as a costume assistant on a show. You don't have to be working 24/7 to be a successful professional actor. You could be unemployed for 3 years and then book a job. And that entire 3 years that you were off, you weren't really off. You were still a professional actor the whole time. Auditioning is the job. Performing is the gift. No matter what work you're doing in theater, do good work. It doesn't mean you have to be the best at what you do, but it does mean you ask the questions that you need answered to do a good job. You put your full effort into it, and you tell the story. Honestly, live your own life, live your best life, and if you do the things that make you happy and serve you, then it's gonna pay off, and it's gonna provide dividends in the work that you're hoping to do. Because the more you experience as a person, the more you can bring to the characters that you play, the more random hobbies you have. You never know when that's gonna pay off working on a project. Experience life. Yeah. Diversify your skill set, live your best life, make good art, tell the story.
My name is Sweet Corey Bay. I use the pronouns they, them, and theirs. I rep Prince George's County, that's gorgeous Prince George's County. Put some respect on it. I'm 26 years old, a musician, I'm a bass player, I'm a community organizer, I'm a friend, I'm a lover, I'm a homie. Yeah, that's me. Because the score, I'm coming to understand more and more, is part of what makes a film, the experience of a film, what it is. It's like the sound of it. I work with a very specific ethos. The people who are engaged with me are other Black trans creatives. The history that I'm tapped into is the history and stewarding the legacies of Black, queer, and trans artists who have impacted and absolutely shaped every aspect of the game musically. And just maybe there's not necessarily an archive of that. So I am this archive, it's within me. And when people are creating certain types of works and telling certain types of stories, they need sonic support. And for a lot of the people that I align with, I'm tapping those sonics.
Hey, so you began skateboarding at a pretty young age. I read around 6 years old. Do you remember what first inspired you to pick up a skateboard, and when did you realize that you could make the talent and interest into a professional career?
I guess the first eyes I've ever had on a skateboard was because I bought Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it was one of those things that just kind of spoke to me as soon as I seen it. And when I took that game home, I played it, and I just knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was pretty much that simple. I guess over time and just like a lot of practice, a lot of broken bones, and finally getting recognition in my teenage years, I started to get my first sponsors around 13. Started getting free boards, free drink sponsors, like Mountain Dew at the time, and like really cool stuff as a little kid. And then just kept at it over the years, kept practicing, kept finding other people to skate with and other places to travel to, and it allowed me to have a skateboarding career starting around the age of like 20, 21, and being able to make money and travel and really live the dream that my 5-year-old self wanted.
Yeah, a lot of times when I ask people about how they knew, they just said it just aligned, like it just felt right. It's like hard to describe.
Yeah, you don't really choose skateboarding, you kind of choose you.
So there's some discourse of skateboarding not maintaining the underground culture it's pretty known for. Being from a city like Philly, that's kind of like a mecca of skateboarding. What is your perspective on, being underground? Do you think it's important? What does that, how does that play into skateboarding culture?
I guess skateboarding in this day and age is like so publicly accepted, and it's just so normalized now that like it makes people like me, well, let me put it allows people like me to have a job. So the underground always gonna be the underground no matter what subculture you're a part of, but it's up to the people like you who appreciate the roots of the underground and the history behind all these subcultures to keep it true. But just because it gets popular doesn't mean it's different. I mean, and I wouldn't say like different is a bad thing either. Like skateboarding is always going to be skateboarding, but we're growing in a way to allow more people to do it, more people to make money off of it, and more kids like me to probably stay out of trouble.
And now, our final guest this evening is Shira Walensky. Shira Walensky is an interdisciplinary artist, educator, and immigrant advocate. Her work centers on the stories and resilience of immigrants and refugees in the city of Philadelphia. Welcome to the studio, Shira.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm great. So happy to be here.
Could you let us know a little bit about the work you do, especially around how do you intertwine public spaces and immigrant communities, and vice versa, how you integrate immigrant communities and public spaces into your work?
Sure. I think the story goes back to 2011, and my boss at Mural Arts, Jane Golden, said, do you want to work on a project with new immigrant and refugee communities, especially refugee communities to Philadelphia? And I said, yes. Many new families from Burma and Bhutan had been resettled in South Philadelphia. And I said, yes, and I don't know. So I connected with a social worker and then met families and felt like I was hearing about people who felt like they were dropped into another planet, basically, in South Philadelphia from rural parts of Burma and having lived in refugee camps. And so thought maybe we could open a space. So we opened a space at 7th and Dudley, thanks to Jane Golden and thanks to the social worker, Melissa Fogg, that I worked with, and community leaders. And the space opened up so much possibility for exchange and for creating frameworks for stories. And, the story of arriving here, resettling, the story of pride in your language from home, the story of the dances that you bring, the food. And I really see art as intertwined with, like all of life really. But for me, I got to meet people, and I feel like exchange is so much a part of it. And yeah.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
We're inside 30th Street Station, where hundreds of faith leaders and protesters are demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Let's go and talk to some of them. Follow me.
We're here to call for a ceasefire. We are an interfaith, multiracial coalition of Jews, pastors, Christian, Muslims, Palestinians, Israelis, and Americans, and we're here to demand that President Biden and the U.S. Congress insist on a ceasefire for the Israeli government against the people of Gaza.
What brought you out?
I'm an American Israeli. I'm dual citizenship. I'm Jewish. And I believe that what is happening right now is harming my security, is harming my family's security, is harming my friends' security, that everyone, whether they are in Gaza City or the south of Israel, whether they are in Ramallah or Haifa, whether they are in Jaffa or in Khan Yunis, deserves to live in freedom, in safety, and in equality. And a call for a ceasefire is a call for all of us. It is a call for all of us to be safe, all of us to be equal, and all of us to be free.
I lived in Palestine in 1986 to 87, and even then it was like being in a teapot that was about to boil, and it has not gotten better. And I just feel devastated that we as United States citizens are aiding and abetting Netanyahu on his revenge, not even rescue of the hostages, but revenge. And I feel like the consequences down the road for Israel, for Jews everywhere, for Gazans, for Palestinians are just very dire, and that we must be the sane people who take away the keys from the drunk driver.
Humanity brought us out today. As Muslims, we believe people in Gaza, Palestine are our brothers and sisters. And right now we're in the comfort of our own homes. The least we can do is be out here and support them as much as we can.
Just telling my son that, we speak together so that we can be louder and that people will hear us. And the hope is that, people do hear us and decision makers pay attention to this large display of Jews and Muslims and people, from all backgrounds coming together.
I'm here in solidarity with that and recognizing that the oppression of my people is the oppression of the Palestinian people, is the oppression of the Haitian people, is the oppression of people all over the world, and I think that's important to stand in solidarity with.
I'm Palestinian, and I'm sickened by what's been happening over the last 75 years in Palestine, specifically what's been going on for the last 27 days in Gaza. So we're here to just show the world that Gaza needs to live, Palestine deserves to be free.
I am Jewish. I was raised Zionist. I taught Hebrew school for 10 years, and then I lived in Israel with a family in the south. I was exposed to things that made me question what I'd been taught. I came back home, got a master's degree in Palestinian history. Then I spent time in Palestine living with a family in the West Bank in 2015, and I have been an advocate for Palestinian freedom for about 20 years now. I think Jews especially have a duty and a responsibility to stand up and say, not in my name. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. Remember that you can also watch our show on YouTube and Roku, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to keep up with the work of our community journalists. We'll see you next time. Happy New Year.